Moving on to the next question, question 27. The graph below depicts the earnings of A and B over the period 2000 to 2010. A graph is given, years is plotted in y-axis and earnings is plotted in x-axis. From the graph, which one of the following can be concluded? On the average, A earned more than B during this period. On the average, B earned more than A during this period. And C, the earnings of A and B were equal during this period. D, the earnings of A were less as compared to B during this period. So if you, without any complication, if you just look at the graph, you can see that from the year 2000 to 2007, for 7 years, A had much higher salary than B. It even goes to this kind of difference. So it starts with a smaller difference and then goes up to this difference, and then again goes to 0 at 2007. They both had same salary at 2007, and 2007 to 10, B had higher salary than A, but it was for 3 years, and in this 3 years, B is earning higher than A, but not as high, and not the difference is much smaller when compared to the year 2000 to 2007. So just using this information, we can say it is most likely that on this period, average earnings of A is higher than B. Since for 7 years A had much higher, A so much greater than B, and here B is greater than A, but still small, is higher, greater than, and smaller. So we can use this information to say on the average A earned more than B during this period. If you are not convinced enough, I will also give you another way to solve this, which uses some mathematical concepts. For that, we need two things. One, we need to know that average value of f of x can be found out by using the formula 1 by b minus a. Average value of f of x, 1 by b minus a into a to b f of x dx. So this is the one concept we are going to use. Second concept is, this is area under the graph, area under the curve. So if we use both this concept, we can more conclusively say that on the average A earned more than B. So this is applicable in cases like this. There we have a function something like this, and this is from A and this is B. In this period, say from A to B, this is f of x. Okay, in this period A to B, we need to find the average value of f of x. F of x is taking so many values, right? These are the values f of x takes. So we don't know which all values, but if we want to find the average earnings, average f of x in this period A to B, we can use this formula 1 by b minus a integral a to b f of x dx. And if you have learned integration, you will know that this integral is nothing but area under the curve. That is, this area under the curve. The value of this area is what is being written as integral a to b f of x dx. So for people who are not familiar with integration, mathematical, these kind of equations and plotting graphs and all, I know it will be too much intimidating and confusing. So you don't have to go through all that. I just wrote it so that we need to only know that in cases like this, average value will be proportional to the area under the curve. Okay, see, it's not proportional, it is area under the curve by interval. So here interval is b minus a, here 2010 minus 2000. But since when we are taking the interval in both cases, the area under the curve a and area under the curve b, when we compare these two areas, the interval is same, 2010 to 2000. So that doesn't matter. So only thing you have to remember is area under the average value is proportional to area under the curve, or is equal to area under the curve by in that interval. So we are going to use this to get a better understanding who has higher average earnings. So I'll just show you one thing. When I say area under the curve, so this red colored, if you are seeing three figures here, the red the earnings of A is separately marked in red color. So the red region is the area under the curve of A. So A is the earning function. So I'll just mark it. 1 second. Here, this is the f of x. So average of f of x will give average of earnings. So which is what we need. So for that, as I said earlier, average value of f of x is proportional to the area under the curve. So if we instead of asking who has higher average earning, we could also ask who has higher area under the curve. So area under the curve of A and area under the curve of B. This is B. This is B. So B is f of x. So area under the curve is like this. So we need to see which area under the curve is higher. So if you remove out the common region, we will get the third figure. So red region has this much more than yellow, and yellow has this much more than red. So now we can clearly say that the yellow part is smaller than the red part, and hence area under the curve under the curve A is higher than area under the curve B. So so it is like area under curve A is greater than area under curve B. That implies average of f of x I will just call this f of A and f of B greater than average of B of f of x. That implies average earnings of A greater than average earnings of B. So in this manner, we can clearly say, we can more conclusively say that average earnings of A is greater than average earnings of B. It is not necessary you have to do all this or nothing. You can visually, once you know the concept to compare the average value, you will know instantly that you just need to compare the area under the curve, and if the area under the curve is clearly larger than the one we need to compare with, it will have average higher value of f of x. So this could come in handy for other questions also. That's why I discussed this concept. Not to confuse, you could very well use that visually. This first method I discussed, just compare, just see whether A has higher value for longer time. So just with that you can conclude that A is the correct answer. But if you use this concept, area under the curve concept, you will get a better clarity whether A has higher average value than compared to B. So I hope it is not confusing. If you find it confusing, you can comment your doubt and I will try to address it. So this is solution to question 27. Answer A. On the average, A earned more than B during this period.